There is definitely the need to create a welcoming and enabling environment for the businesses to thrive.
We want to assure international community that their funds are well protected in Nigeria.
Bring the wealth to the mother continent. Africa Public-Private Partnership Network investment opens in Abuja.
On the part of INEC, all major activities that are supposed to be carried out at this stage have been successfully undertaken.
The good and the ugly for the umpire. INEC in final phase of preparation for a full governorship election. Office in Enugu State set ablaze.
You must be effective in your supervision and inspection of the area, Sharia, and customary process. As doing so will go a long way in building public confidence in our courts.
New gavel galvanizes efficiency in the judiciary. Wants judicial officers to respect code of conduct for court employees. Hello and thanks for joining us on the news. I am Kene Ima Abodikel. Michael Olaleye joins us from Lagos, while Ibadan Network Center will come up later. Here is a reminder that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website nta.ng/live, as well as other social media platforms displayed on the screen. President Muhammadu Buhari's 5-day state visit to Lisbon, Portugal, was a first-class success story of two determined nations to engender close relationship for mutual benefits. Betty Adams compiled some of the benefits of the president's visit.
President Muhammadu Buhari's 5-day state visit to Lisbon, Portugal has been described as a first-class success story of two determined nations to engender a close relationship.
Are important for Nigeria because we are reviving relationships that have been ignored for a long time. And in addition to that, these are important engagements that would also, help in the acceleration of our country's economic growth, the attraction of investors, creation of jobs, and the general upliftment of the quality of life of our own people.
Garba Shehu is of the view that there is so much for both countries to benefit, with Nigeria being a better beneficiary. On this trip, Nigeria signed 8 bilateral agreements in the areas of political consultations, diplomatic training, research and exchange of information and documentation, cooperation in the field of culture, women and girls development, empowerment and gender affairs, youth and sports.
Are also keen to establish a direct air link between our two countries to further stimulate tourism, people-to-people contact, and social, sporting, and cultural relations.
The visit also achieved a desire for a strategic partnership to strengthen the work Nigeria has been praised for, which is her stabilizing role in West Africa. The laying of a framework to strengthen security and cooperation between the two states.
You are a great nation. President Obama once said about you that you strived to overcome division and turn Nigeria diversity into a source of strength. So you were able to build the largest economy in Africa. I so much agree with that. So we want to work with you. We want to work with your innovators. Lisbon's objective is to be the capital of innovation of Europe. But for that, we need you. We need the African continent. We need to work with you peer to peer.
Nigeria and Portugal have equally identified a common interest in the transatlantic gas pipeline, the Kano-Maradi railway line being constructed by a Portuguese company and Portugal, and the recognition of Nigeria as one of the 5 centers for vaccine production in Africa. In the area of sports, the choice of Jose Parceiro, the Portuguese coach of the Super Eagles, Nigeria struck yet another positive chord that resonates politically and diplomatically. In the field of renewable energy, Portugal provides 60% of energy to its citizenry from renewable sources, with the country ranking among the world leaders and hoping to reach carbon neutrality by 2030. And Garba Shehu believes Nigeria will benefit from such record-breaking achievement. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
In the meantime, the federal government is seeing Africa's huge infrastructure gap as opportunities for private investment through public-private partnerships. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, while declaring open the Africa Public-Private Partnership Network Investment Summit in Abuja, said all sectors of the economy are yearning for investment. Leah Katungba Batunde reports.
Policymakers, public servants, private sector players, and all who matter in the infrastructure space are represented here at the Africa Public-Private Partnership Network AP3N Investment Summit in Abuja. Africa's private sector currently accounts for more than 80% of total production and 2/3 of total investments, but there is still a lot more to do if the continent must make the best of the free trade area agreement.
To stimulate and create a vibrant private sector on the continent and accelerate infrastructure development, a number of issues must be addressed. There is definitely the need to create a welcoming and enabling environment for the businesses to thrive. This can be achieved by reducing risk and cost of doing business and by securing private property rights or proprietary rights, improving governance, fighting corruption, simplifying regulations, and promoting competition.
Nigeria, like South Africa, is already benefiting from PPP arrangements.
I'd like to encourage every member of this network to take full advantage of this investment summit to attract more willing and capable private investors to invest in infrastructure development in Nigeria.
Fund is a coward. It goes to an environment where it's well protected. We want to assure international community that their funds are well protected in Nigeria.
But a lot still needs to be done.
Onitsha Port, for instance, took us 5 years to close. And it's very difficult for any private sector to wait for 5 years. In that 5 years, some of our partners, foreign partners, lost interest. COVID happened, investment were diverted to other places.
The 2-day summit serves as a nesting place for ideas to be birthed and investor concerns like that of George Nwagu be addressed collectively in Abuja. Leah Kachungba Batunde, NTA News.
There are renewed efforts at enhancing the efficiency of support staff in the judiciary targeted towards building public confidence in the justice system. This is to be achieved through the improvements of the day-to-day running of the registry and various courts. Acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, wants judicial officers to work in line with the code of conduct for court employees.
You must be effective in your supervision and inspection of the area, Sharia, and customary courts. As doing so, we go a long way in building public confidence in our courts. Fight corruption, laziness, and other inadequacies in the judiciary.
We are saddled with the responsibility of overseeing the activities of lower courts and thereby ensure that area judges are properly guided among the other responsibilities. This you must take seriously to avoid miscarriage of justice in any form.
Conducting of investigations, petitions handling, and delineating of court jurisdictions are some of the insights to be gained at the training workshop for directors and inspectors of lower courts. Now, the federal government says Nigeria is a country fully guided by a constitution that protects and guarantees the rights of its nationals, with no policy that hinders them from such rights. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed restated this at a media briefing while reacting to a letter to the U.S. Secretary of State requesting that Nigeria should be blacklisted on account of religious persecution. Anthony Forsen has the details.
These are the 5 senators: Senator John Hawley, Senator Marco Rubio, Senator Mike Brown, Senator Nhofel, and Senator Tom Cotton. The senators had written to the U.S. Secretary of State demanding that Nigeria be redesignated as a country of particular concern under the U.S. International Religious Freedom Act. The senators went as far as describing the Secretary of State's decision to remove Nigeria from the list as misguided. Reacting to this development, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed put the records straight.
It is not true that Nigeria actually persecutes anybody solely on account of his or her faith. We've said this several times, and we're saying it again with all the emphasis at our disposal, because even the Constitution of Nigeria guarantees the right of anybody to practice his or her own faith without molestation by anybody.
If there is any such acts at all, the minister explained, and the federal government's efforts.
We have a lot of criminality going on, and these criminals really don't make a distinction between any religion. They kidnap for money, they hold people ransom for money, and then there are some issues also that have to do with communal, matters which date back to many years, many centuries. The only known group that we know that actually targets Christians is ISWAP. And I'm glad to say that Nigeria as a government has mounted a large-scale military operation to wipe out ISWAP. And it is yielding results. Today, ISWAP is floundering. Many of its leaders have been eliminated. But you see, what ISWAP is doing actually is because of their dwindling influence in Nigeria, because they've been displaced largely from the northeast. They are now attacking, churches and Christians in order to create a crisis between the various, religious groups. But as a government, we are after them. So it is not correct to say that Christians are being persecuted, or there's an official policy that denies the Christians the right, to practice their religion.
Admitting that there are challenges, he however appealed to Nigerians who, for whatever reason or interest they protect, should see Nigeria first. That what Nigeria for now needs is a friendly relationship, not one that will support in fanning the embers of disunity among the people. In London, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, has expressed readiness to collaborate with other development partners towards supporting tertiary education in the country. The First Lady stated this in a message during the presentation of instructional materials to the management of the Federal Capital Territory College of Education, Zuba. State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir reports that the materials include different types of books geared towards enhancing teaching and learning. Presenting the books to the management of the school, the First Lady, through the media aid of the Aisha Buhari Foundation, Bisi Olimide Ajayi, employed them to use the books judiciously. The First Lady has also called on well-meaning Nigerians, corporate organizations, as well as non-governmental organizations to put more efforts towards enhancing the education of Nigerian children, especially the girl child. Responding on behalf of the Provost of the college, Dr. Mohammed Gambo Hamza, the Deputy Provost, Dr. Sule Mundi, expressed happiness with the gesture and assured the First Lady that the books will be used judiciously. This is Network News at 9 on NTA. Let's take a break. More reports ahead. Welcome back. The Nigerian Navy ship Pathfinder Port Harcourt has officially marked the end of its second quarter assignment for 2023 with a renewed commitment to ensuring the protection of critical national assets within the domain in third quarter. Commodore Suleiman Ibrahim gave the assurance after a 25-kilometer route march in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
This route march from the naval base at Rumolumini, Port Harcourt through Wimpy Junction, Ipere Road, Orazi GRA to Ajip Road and back to the base is intended to prepare them for the task ahead. Commodore Ibrahim said, with this exercise successfully completed, the personnel are ready to continue with the fight against criminal elements and assured the business community of a safe haven for legitimate economic activities to thrive.
One major responsibility that has been put upon us is the fight against crude oil theft. On our part, we have done well.
He is optimistic that the additional platforms provided would help the command respond appropriately to the security issues within the command's jurisdiction. The Nigerian Navy ship Pathfinder leadership commended the communities for the reception given them while on the route march and enjoined the public to strengthen collaboration with the command. Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
The Nigeria Police Trust Fund is building the capacity of commandants and staff of the Force Education Unit to bring them up to speed with current trends in the world of education. Francis Form reports that training of officers and men is part of the mandate of the fund.
With the current development in the world of education, teachers need to be effective in the performance of their role, and this capacity building program for commandants and staff of the Force Education Unit is one of its kind.
The police force is founded on the bastion of discipline, and that is why we believe in the education of our children in a secure environment and the welfare of their teachers. And this is the reason why we liaised with the Police Trust Fund to organize this seminar for our teachers.
May I at this juncture enjoin you to actively participate at this very important program so that the laudable objective will be met.
It is the minister's wish and prayer that this will not be the only one, that it will be a continuous event.
With the current security challenges around, participants are expected to be exposed to the rudiments of blended learning, effective communications, and to have the right vision for their schools, amongst others.
That when they get back to their respective schools, they can impart the knowledge that they have acquired here to the staff who are not opportune to come here.
They will be able to use new skills and techniques that are relevant in our own local environment to ensure that the kids are getting quality education.
This is the maiden training of police commandants and staff with about 300 participants. Franks is from NTA News.
INEC is to conduct mock accreditation of voters in the 3 senatorial districts of Osun State before the July 16th governorship poll to ensure everything works perfectly. INEC Chairman Professor Mahamudu Yakubu in a briefing also assured the electorate in Osun that all is now set for the exercise. He appeals for decency during the process.
On the part of INEC, all major activities that are supposed to be carried out at this stage have been successfully undertaken. We will visit some of our local government offices in the state, hold meetings with our staff, brief the Council of Traditional Rulers to solicit the support of their Royal Majesties for peaceful elections, and meet with the security agencies and transporters. We will also observe the mock accreditation of voters in some polling units across the 3 senatorial districts in the state to further test the functionality of the bimodal voter accreditation system. A few days to the election, we will return to Osun State to meet with stakeholders and for the signing of the peace accord by political parties and candidates under the auspices of the National Peace Committee. Arising from the experience of the recent Ekiti State governorship election, the Commission is keeping a close watch on the security situation in Osun State. Although it is generally calm at the moment, we are nevertheless concerned about reports of clashes in some places.
INEC Chairman Professor Mahamudu Yakubu there. Meanwhile, Abuja North Local Government Area Office of INEC, Enugu State, was set ablaze by unknown arsonists Sunday night, 3rd July 2022. The arsonists, who overpowered the security guard, forced their way into the premises and set the building ablaze. Although no casualty was reported, 748 ballot boxes, 240 voting cubicles, office furniture and equipment were destroyed in spite of the best efforts of the Enugu State Fire Service deployed from Nsukka. INEC National Commissioner for Information, Festus Okoye, says the commission is working to ascertain the status of voter registration machines for the ongoing continuous voter registration CVR exercise, as well as uncollected permanent voters cards PVCs locked up in the fireproof cabinet. It is noteworthy to state that this is not the first attack of INEC facilities by hoodlums in the state. Recall that on 23rd May 2021, INEC office in the neighboring Abuja South Local Government Area was attacked in a similar manner by unknown gunmen. This followed earlier attacks on Udenu Local Government Area Office on 13th May 2021 and the state headquarters in Enugu on 16th May 2021. Let's head to Lagos, where Michael is standing by with some reports. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Kene. The fight against anti-smuggling and corrupt practices at the Apapa port is yielding results as the Apapa Area Command is blocking all loopholes. Olumide Guntala reports that the service is living to its mandate of facilitating trade.
In line with the federal government's efforts to boost the economy of the country and compete favorably with other economies of the world, the Nigerian Customs Service, through its Apapa Command, swung into action at the beginning of the year to achieve set goals. Through its consistency and resilience in areas of revenue generation, anti-smuggling operations, import and export trade, the command has collected revenue to the tune of 522.4 billion naira, a significant increase of 156 billion naira as against 366.5 billion naira collected in the corresponding month of the year 2021. Smuggling of dangerous items were reduced with seizure of 83 containers worth 8.3 billion naira, while 21 suspects were arrested.
The importers are now being traced, and we are sure that we are going to bring them to book. Investigation is also going. One thing you have to understand is that this kind of importation, apart from the fact that it is being prohibited, if it goes to the society, it can be dangerous, because every food items that are coming to this country must be certified by NAFDAC.
The command's 42.5% increase in revenue collection between January and June 2022 includes the exportation of non-oil commodities with about 2.5 million metric tons, above the 540,000 metric tons in the year 2021. In Lagos, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
The site of the stressed buildings being pulled down in different parts of Lagos State is likely to become more commonplace in the coming days. Though unsavory, controlled demolition is one preemptive measures that the state government has adopted to check the spate of building collapse in the state. Adeni Taiwo reports.
Ikoyi building collapse, a side reference point on the danger posed by distressed buildings to human lives. Lesser cases of building collapse have been reported in other parts of Lagos State, particularly around Ebute Metta and Lagos Island. Demolishing houses, a difficult task, made rather more difficult by emotions involved.
They told us they are pulling down their houses and they gave us just 2 weeks for us to do all we need to do to pack out of the houses.
That notwithstanding, 20 distressed buildings have so far been demolished by the state government as it ramps up efforts to tackle rising cases of collapsed buildings in the state. Now, attention shifts from Ebute Metta and Yaba on the mainland to these narrow crevices of Lagos Island. Densely populated with rows of congested buildings, Lagos Island has in recent times posted a disturbing number of building collapse incidents, including the one that claimed 4 lives at Alayaki Street on May 21 this year. The controlled demolition exercise continues with these 5 buildings at Koilo Street, marked to be pulled down by the Lagos State Building Control Agency.
Look at what we have here. It's an extreme distressed building. And that's why I that this is a distressed building. It shows you the number of times that my staff will have served this building. According to them, it's been served. And this is on the 4th floor without any building plan approval. So if we are doing justice to this, what is stopping us from pulling this down? You find out that you have this building, people are still staying down there. You know that the building is distressed. You know that one day this building is coming down. You know that one day the government will come and do it. But they still don't want to move away from there.
At Enowa, Rika, Igadugono, and Odunfa Streets, these 3-story buildings, still under construction, were partly demolished for not keeping to approved plan. Even while it is unsavory, it is expected that this exercise would call attention to the need for standard as well as promote vigilance among members of the society. In Lagos, Adini Itaiwo, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for update. Time for some messages. The news continues shortly. Please stay.
Is a very top. Welcome back. It's now time for business news with Musa Abubakar.
Okay, thank you, Kenneth. Now, the Nigerian Port Authority says it will pay more attention to reviving the ports in the east by providing more marine craft and incentives for stakeholders willing to do business away from Apapa and Tinkan Island. The managing director of the port, Mohammed Bello Koko, said this at the sidelines of the African Public-Private Partnership Network Investment Summit in Abuja.
We all know that the installed capacity of both Tinkan and Apapa has been exceeded over time, and because of that you see there's a lot of traffic congestion leading to the port. Also there is a lot of cargo dwell time, and the ship turnaround time hasn't been impressive, all because Nigerians and almost everybody has concentrated on doing business in Tinkan and Apapa. What we have done was to try and pay more focus to reviving the ports in the east.
It's a negative start on the Nigerian equities market this Monday as the bears dominated market sentiment. The all-share index shed 0.07% at 51,791.45 points. Investors exchanged 194.12 million shares valued at 2.8 billion naira in 4,899 deals. Transcorp Guarantee Trust Holding Company and UBA led the activity chart in terms of volume and value. Well, that's business news. It's back to you.
Many thanks to you, Musa. Now, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, says the filing of companies' income tax returns for the year 2022 assessment due on 30th June 2022 has been extended to 31st August 2022. This is for companies who were unable to meet the deadline as at the end of June 2022. FIRS in a statement says the decision was reached following requests by companies for the extension of time. As a measure of goodwill and in line with relevant provisions of the Companies Income Tax Act, it had directed that all companies whose companies' income tax returns for 2022 year of assessment that falls due between 30th June and 31st August 2022 are given up to 31st August 2022 to submit their returns to the service. The extension is a one-off gesture by the service, as the period of extension would not be subject to late filing penalty or interest for late payment. The statement also says the extension only applies to the filing of companies' income tax returns but does not extend to other taxes. Indigenous companies now produce 30% of crude oil and 20% of gas due to the unique capabilities of the country's indigenous exploration and producing oil and gas companies. An award night kickstarting the Oil and Gas Conference NOG 2022 was organized by the Independent Petroleum Producers Group in recognition of the pioneers. Lydia Sampson reports that these pioneers turned icons provided the needed platform to celebrate and evaluate their efforts as well as chart a way towards navigating the sector going forward.
In the late 70s, the oil and gas industry in Nigeria was dominated by international operators. The narrative is changing, with more indigenous players coming on board and developing marginal fields into mid-sized production assets, growing production from divested joint venture assets, and significantly contributing to domestic gas supply. They are also impacting midstream and downstream sectors and refinery space. It is in the light of this that 14 indigenous pioneers were honored. For the key players, the 25-member Independent Petroleum Producers Group has become a major force of optimal value addition in the oil and gas industry in the country.
For IPPG, our role in this new era will be at the forefront of engendering industry growth and development that assures energy security for our nation.
Yes, we believe that clean energy is the way to go. We believe that energy transition is real. We do need to reduce our carbon footprint in our business, but it doesn't eliminate petroleum. And that means that we have to produce cleaner petroleum, cleaner use.
It is indeed the right time to look inward in the sector to prove the capability of the local content in value addition and optimizing development of the nation's hydrocarbon resources.
Domestic gas really is going to be very much a growing part of the sector, and gas will make that electricity cheaper. The number I saw, and it's growing, is there are 14 million generators in this country.
As the international oil companies gradually move away, the indigenous players that will take over are being urged to imbibe the role of corporate governance. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
As more people open up to report acts of prevailing violence in their neighborhoods, awareness on the matter and clamor for justice and stiffer punishment are also increasing. Recent is the Women in Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasan, who converged on Abuja to make a statement. Momsol Damian Dati reports.
From hundreds of miles across Nigeria, these women from oil and gas sector have traveled down to Abuja for a purpose.
But women in Pengasan, we are here to say the penalties given to offenders, we want it to be more louder and clearer. Even the offenders to know that there are eyes on them.
The work begins, not just for body fitness, but to drive home a lesson on a very disturbing matter to the women folk.
Any form of domestic violence, not just the male on the female on children, any vulnerable group in society must be protected.
And also educate our women. Put a padlock on your mouth. Don't be the reason why your husband abuses you. Encourage your men. And for the men, when the heat is much, take a walk from the house and come back.
Women are tired. We're tired of women being killed, our sisters being killed, raped, murdered. Our children are not safe anymore. You know, it has to come to a stop. And the time is now.
From the Unity Fountain to the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs to make official their case. They are received by the Acting Permanent Secretary on behalf of the Minister.
The Federal Ministry of Women Affairs as National Gender Mercenary for Women's Wellbeing and Development is leaving no stone unturned.
This visit has further broadened the multi-sectoral collaborations to end violence in Nigeria, hopefully to be sustained by all. Momsa Damien Dati, NTA News.
The Northeast Development Commission is adding value to the drive of achieving sustainable environment in the sub-region as the intervention agency commences the training of 150 waste collectors and scavengers in Yobe State on effective waste management practices and recycling in line with global standards. Yunisa Suleiman reports.
Following the restoration of peace after years of insurgency, solid waste generation rates are rising in the Northeast region. The Northeast Development Commission understands that managing this waste properly is essential for building a sustainable and livable region. Hence commences the training of 150 youth from Yobe State on efficient waste management practices and A to Z of recycling. The Managing Director of the Commission, Mohammed Goni Al-Kali, represented says the training is part of the Commission's intervention to reduce waste dumps in the state.
Our target is to train these youths on the best practices of waste management and recycling, as well as link them up with the market directly instead of having to deal with third parties in terms of transactions and the value chain processes. These are development that we are to start right now. It's a very bold step, at least, to boost the economic status of our people.
My expectation to this workshop or seminar is to expect to modernize our business.
This seminar or training will help me on how to improve my business.
Certificates and starter packs will be presented to the participants at the end of the training to boost their personal business opportunities. In the Matru, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
You're watching the network news on NTA. For more reports, let's join Kemi in Ibadan.
Thank you, Kene, and welcome to Ibadan. The Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has expressed satisfaction with the bimodal voter accreditation system performance to be used for the Osun governorship election. He made this known during a mock accreditation exercise to assess the performance of the new technology ahead of the July 16 poll. Femi Afariogun has the reports.
Less than 2 weeks to Osun governorship election, INEC is putting finishing touches to all arrangements for a hitch-free, credible election. The national chairman himself, who has since moved his office to Osogbo, the Osun state capital, personally in company of his principal officers, both local and national, supervised the mock accreditation across the 3 senatorial zones in the state. It takes less than 3 minutes to conclude the accreditation process per eligible voter, which includes submission of voter card, authentication of fingerprint and the face.
We don't want a situation where voters will go to the polling unit and be waiting for any petitions from the voters. So we should go there long before the election so that we will wait for voters is their day.
Osun State have seen that the new innovation is working and their votes will count.
While still moving round Osun Central, the chairman and his team also visited one of the INEC's local government area offices to ascertain the delivery of non-sensitive materials kept in the stores.
Remember, it was good, but we want Osun to beat our record in the GTP and the 2023 general election to be better.
The mock accreditation continues on Tuesday in designated centers across the 3 senatorial zones. In Osogbo, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
The Nigerian Army says it will continue to place premium on training to enhance professionalism in defending the nation's territorial integrity, as well as to continue to promote civil-military relations and strengthen its information gathering mechanism. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya reaffirmed this at the Nigerian Army Education Corps Combined First and Second Quarter Conference held at the Sobi Cantonment in Ilorin. Olajide Bello reports.
In view of the asymmetric nature of the war against insurgency, which the military has continued to degrade in the country, equipping frontline troops with requisite skills and deployment of more ICT hardware become imperative. The conference, therefore, is in line with the Chief of Army Staff vision to have a professional Nigerian army ready to accomplish assigned missions within a joint environment in defense of Nigeria. Top on the agenda of this gathering is to critically assess the security challenges facing the country with a view to mapping out modalities to strengthen its architecture.
The ongoing review of the personnel welfare scheme
training in watchkeeping and other roles, as well as introduction of new courses for officers and soldiers of the Corps, are commendable efforts geared towards achieving professionalism and combat readiness.
The theme for the conference is Advancing Education Amidst Nigeria's Security Challenges, the place of the Nigerian Army Education Corps. For Large Day Below, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. More reports after this timeout. Do stay with us.